Hey, what is up everybody? I'm Chance and we're back today with part 6 of Our Life Beginnings, and always, let's get in it. Alright, last we left off, we were playing pretend as grown-ups with Lizzie and Cove, and it went a little terribly, to say the least. And I got Lizzie in trouble, and it was this whole ordeal. There was this weird like speakerphone apology thing that happened, but we got it over and done with, and things continued on their merry way, and that leads us into today's part, which is going to be Long Day. Let's see what happens. It was another scorching summer day. The kind where no sooner had you finished one cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everyone else had something going on, so that afternoon it was just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel pleased, frustrated, nothing really. Please, be pleased. You might not be in the double digits like your sister, but he was only 7. Being the oldest and getting to be the leader was a nice change of pace. You drained yet another drink and frowned at the empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, but you still craved something icy cold and refreshing. Something sweet. Something like a popsicle, an ice cream cone, an ice cream sandwich. We're going with ice cream cone. Like, yeah. The other two don't compare. Nothing beats a classic creamy scoop of ice cream on a day like this. There was nothing like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Outside, there was plenty of places where such goodies could be obtained, but they were shops and demanded payment in exchange for their products. You sighed, you voiced your predicament out loud. You asked Shiloh for help. We're gonna voice our predicament and see what Shiloh says. I want an ice cream cone. Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up. That sounds good. We don't have anything like that in the house, and I don't have any money. Oh, let me check if I have any. I'm like mooching off of everyone. Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins, plus one stray button. You set the button aside and counted the coins in neat piles. Just over $1. You announced this to Shiloh. He had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he'd been watching you expectantly. It's not enough, it's a start. It's always a start. We're gonna find money. Look under these cushions. Shiloh beamed at you. We'll need to find some more. Okay. The two of you lifted, everyone knows that money is under your couch cushions. The two of you lifted couch cushions, stuck in tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and scoured the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross. Bent paper clips, fluffy wisps of dust, or sandy crumbs. But every so often, one of you would strike silver or bronze and add it to the growing pile of coins. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook, the two of you finished pooling your finds. Shiloh held his breath as you counted the coins once again. Fingers crossed. $2, 53 cents, and 2 buttons. You didn't know when the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful haul to throw it out. Is that enough? Is that enough for 2 people? You figured he knew the answer, but you appreciated him recognizing your authority on financial and ice cream matters. You straightened up before making your pronouncement. Yeah, we've got enough. You could now afford something at the shops. Just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands. So we're gonna, hopefully we share. Yay! The two of you dashed outside. The promise of sugar buoyed you onto your destination where, breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed to the funds to get the treat. He seemed to notice your pause. Aren't you getting an ice cream cone? Shiloh asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision, rather than someone with a stake in the outcome. Do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side. It was your idea. You should choose. No. You went ahead and got what you wanted originally. Are you really sure it's okay? You tried to get something you both wanted anyway. Of course. It wasn't fair for you to be the only one to decide when he'd been a main factor in making this decision. Some of the money came directly from his backpack. Exactly. What do you like? All of them. They're so good. You pressed further. What do you really like? Popsicles or ice creams? Which is your favorite? It's too hard to pick. I don't know. Frustrated, you cut to the heart of the matter. You want me to choose? Yeah. Jeez, like this game is like teaching me that I should probably be more decisive and just go off of what people say and just do that instead of trying to reach out and be like, hey, let's come to a mutual compromise. And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally and hoped Shiloh would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all your hard work was in your hands. You lapped at the soft ice cream. The sweetness perked you up. You held it out to Shiloh so he could take a turn. He shook his head. You can finish it. He didn't want any? After everything he did to help get it? That was weird. But you accepted the offer. You tried to include Shiloh. You hesitated. So... this game. I'm gonna hesitate because I'm torn now because he seems okay with it. I don't know. Like, I don't want to pressure him, but like, I don't... Like, he also helped. He should get something, right? Am I being too much right now?
It's okay.
It's okay, Jamie. You want it more than I do, and I'm really happy that we got to play today already. You finish it. Well, it wasn't worth arguing further. The frozen treat was being worn away by the sun and starting to trickle dangerously towards your fingers. If you waited much longer, then neither of you would be getting to eat it. Alright, thanks. The two of you began to head back home as you ate. You offered the treat once more to Shiloh, but he refused again. You walked side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say what he felt, or was too afraid to. You figured that was his problem and didn't care? Are you scared of me? You thought that was kind of sad? Are we friends? We're gonna ask him if he's... Well, I don't think he's scared of everything. Or not scared, but... I don't know. We're gonna ask. Let's do it. Let's find out what happens. Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question. No way! But you don't tell me things, like what you want to do or what treat we should get. That's not because I'm scared. It's because you have better ideas than I do. No, that's not true. Unfortunately, this was yet another thing you couldn't entirely believe Shiloh on. You hoped it was true and that he really did feel okay around you, though. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience of spending the afternoon with just him. There had been good times and there had been confusing ones. You were positive of one thing, at least. The treat was delicious and that was nice. Okay. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. There you spotted two very familiar figures up ahead, Lizzie and Cove. Lizzie and Cove hanging out? You opened your mouth after last episode? You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them just as you saw the tears on Cove's face. You walked straight over, Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you defended Cove took a moment to make a joke, accused Lizzie of causing trouble, carefully asked about what happened. We're not going to jump to any conclusions. Without a time machine, the only way you were going to find out was by asking the witnesses. Lizzie might have done something, but she could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or even come to Cove's aid. You wanted to hear the story. Cove, what happened? Jamie, I got yelled at. He took a deep, steady breath. Some grandparents got mad at me. It's the grandparents! Oh, sorry. Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of a nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what had happened. Every year the same mean old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove couldn't have. They're like that with everyone. Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them, but the elderly pair particularly took offense to kids. It didn't matter if they were really nice, like Cove. Yeah, Lizzie said. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly in your direction. Uh-huh, I was helping. That's cool. Is there anything I can do?
No.
No, I'm just gonna stay away. Or you could teach them a lesson. There was a devilish glint in her eyes. What? You should ding-dong ditch them. Go ring the doorbell and run. It'll be great cause they're so slow. They'll never catch you. That's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again.
You're just saying that because you're a chicken.
What she said. Cove glared, but didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you. You're not a chicken, are you? Yeah, cluck cluck. You'd rather just avoid them? You thought they deserved worse? I'll do it. Y'all! I want to do it! I want to do it! Is this in character? I don't care if it's not in character or not. We're gonna do it. We're gonna... Should we? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Who cares? We're kids. Cove's eyes. Really? You took a deep breath and nodded. Lizzie squealed with delight. We'll go hide. Run as soon as you hit the bell. I can't believe I'm doing this. I feel so guilty. Good luck! Lizzie and Shiloh ran across the road to take shelter in the bushes. Even once they'd settled down, you could make out two child-sized shapes staring from between the leaves. You knew where to look for them, though, and so you told yourself that the grouchy old people wouldn't spot it. Cove sighed, his gaze flicking to the house and then back to you. Be careful. I'll be quick as a flash. He gave the door, and you one last look before joining Lizzie and Shiloh in their hideaway. Oh god. The weight of the three pairs of eyes on the back was heavier than anything you'd carried before as you approached the door. You hesitated as you reached for the doorbell. Then, my heart is actually racing. Let's do this! Let's do this! You rung it, you didn't ring it. We're gonna ring it. You slapped the buzzer and ran. Blood thumped against your eardrums with every step. Would you make it in time? Approaching the hiding spot, you knew that there wasn't time to go around the bushes as the others had done. You took a shortcut, leaping over them. Or to be more accurate, crashing into the tops of the bushes and then falling over to the other side. Cove quietly hissed as you unwittingly collided into him. But by the way his arms were out, it seemed he had intentionally tried to cushion your landing. Oh, that's nice of him. Shh! Lizzie put a finger to her lips and nodded at the house. You disentangled your limbs from Cove's and spun around to see the old man framed in the doorway, peering back and forth suspiciously. You covered your mouth with your hands, but it wasn't enough to stifle your giggles. No! Shut your mouth! Maybe he spotted one of you, Maybe it was the leaves you displaced while jumping, but he locked eyes with the bush and stormed over in your direction. Shiloh gasped and looked to Lizzie. Run! Your sister did not hesitate to take her own advice. Neither did Shiloh. You got up, but seeing Cove struggling to extract himself and stand up with just the one fully functional arm, you gave him the hand up before taking off after the others. Good. The old man's hollers propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Only once you were safe did you notice the stitch in your chest and the ache of your legs. You flopped down, the blades of grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already lazing on the ground. The four of you took a moment to catch your breath and enjoy the feeling of cool grass against your skin.
Cove.
Hey, Cove. Cove lifted his head. I told you they were mean grandparents around here. She did. Cove rolled his eyes, then decided this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd be second fiddle again to Shiloh once Lizzie came around. It always went like that. And it was fine, you thought. You still felt a little sad after how much time you spent together today. And it was always annoying. I think it's fine. Shiloh could refer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. There were other things to attend to anyway. You wriggled closer to Cove. He had calmed down for the most part and was inspecting a flower. His fingers pinched the stem and tilted the white petals towards him. That's a poppy. Cove glanced at you in acknowledgement, then back to the flower. And the type of poppies on this hill have the name white linen poppy. Mom told me. He quirked a smile. That's funny. He ran a finger around the edge of the petals. It doesn't feel like cloth. You need a lot of them to make anything. He nodded and released the delicate plant. Evaluation complete. This is my favorite kind of flower, but I didn't know what it was called. Thanks. Whoa! So many options. Okay, it's mine too. I like roses. Buttercups are really great. My favorite is snapdragons. I like snapdragons. Hibiscus are great. Peonies are great, are pretty. I love sunflowers. I'd pick tulips. Orchids are the most special. Type your answer. I like all flowers. I don't care about flowers. I only know what my mom's taught me. I feel like it's gonna be important for later. So we're gonna go with orchids because I think orchids are the prettiest. Those flowers are super fancy and come in all sorts of colors and stuff. Some even pretend to be like bugs. They do? Yep. They trick real bugs by looking like one. Wow. You know everything. Not everything, but thanks. I'm a smart kid. Oh. You moved onto your back with a small smile and looked at the darkening sky. The blanket of clouds reminded you of a thick throw you curled under on cold, rainy days. You wondered if the clouds would be as soft. They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing into new shapes. You saw a dolphin, you saw a car, you saw an alpaca, you saw a smiley face, you saw cloud shapes. Of course we saw an alpaca! You saw a fluffy alpaca in the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it. Can you see the alpaca? Cove joined you in gazing skywards.
Whoa.
It's more like a llama. Hey! He chuckled at your reaction. Aww. As the sun's light faded from the sky and the moon rose higher, Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs, and surveyed her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned with every sweep of the tide. Let's go to the beach. There was no argument from the other two. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. You wanted to go there too. Were too tired to argue. Were happy to do what the others wanted. Objected to the plan. Wanted to go there too. So you eagerly joined the others in descending the hill down to the water. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Abandoned sandcastles and footsteps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy it had been only hours earlier. The four of you kicked shoes off and removed socks and walked along the water's edge. The waves tickled your feet. I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean. With shampoo and everything. No. That would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
I didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez. You don't have to be serious about everything. You're the one who asked what would happen. That is what would happen. It hurt the fishes. I like bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun. Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious. You've never heard Lizzie use that word before. Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She'll turn the lights off and have candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Same. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up anyway? Not for a while. She's busy. What about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does. Don't you know you're not supposed to ask something like that? Why would somebody want to talk about something they never talk about? You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes get swallowed by waves. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when this topic came up, it made you feel awkward just for having both of your moms. It's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Jamie. I don't have a dad. But I don't have two moms. I just have one. She's really great. Oh, sorry. I only have one now too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just my dad with me. I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's really sad that your mom is gone. Cove nodded. You joked about Shiloh's mom getting together with Cove's dad. Even if they're all different, our parents are good in their own ways. You didn't say anything. I really want to do the first one, but I don't want to overstep boundaries, so. Yeah. Cove couldn't muster a response. You didn't think he truly disagreed, though. The silence broke with a splash as Lizzie kicked in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand splattered against your legs. Lizzie giggled, foot still outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of the Cove spray zone with a grin. Thank you, Lizzie. You made a run for it. You retaliated. Let's retaliate. You used your foot to smack the water pooling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back into your sister. You laughed as she spluttered, some of the salty seawater having landed in her mouth. She spat it out. Yuck! Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. You dashed up and down the coast, taking it in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and wordlessly broken. Everything was fair game in war. Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, caused by him falling face first into the ground. That would have been bad enough without the wave that followed, cascading over his prone body. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming in from the rain. As you all hurried over to check on him, his hair was plastered on his head and his soaked clothes clung. If there was any part of him that was still dry, you couldn't see it. Yeah, there's not. That was crazy. Are you okay? Yeah, my foot got stuck and I fell over.
You dumbo.
Way to go, Shiloh, you dumbo. You offered him some help up. Let him get up by himself. will offer help. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh too. He reached over and took it. Slowly, he started to pull himself from the ground. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. The water rolled over them. Sorry. What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low. But there's no way Shiloh would do something like that on purpose, then pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as a cool breeze flowed past. Aw, my moms, they're so cute! Your moms were outside, chatting to Cove's dad. We're back! Your mom's faces fell as they took in the state you all were in, ranging from messy to soaked.
No.
Elizabeth, is that all that you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back with you. They certainly did. What's Marigold going to do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you want him to be for the long drive home? Cold and filthy? Lizzie's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first to get in trouble when something went wrong. Mr. Holt, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been out making memories, bucko? I'm glad you had a good time with your friends. Cove used his slightly moist cast arm to push his dad off. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed even that had gotten wet. Now he was worried too. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time and had just as much fun. That might be right. Kids, what can you do? Come on, Cove. Let's go get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast to have to be reset. Cove winced at the thought. Okay. Attaboy. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove up off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sam was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his trouble.
Take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff. Night, Pumpernickel family, and Shiloh too. Resigned to his fate, Cove twisted his body in his dad's arms in order to turn around and wave goodbye. Smiling, you waved back. Good night.
Fine.
Well, we'd better do what we can to fix you guys up too. Come on, everybody inside. I want you to march straight to the downstairs bathroom. Yes, Mom. Okay, Lizzie's mom. Don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found, you waited in the hall until you were less sandy. You weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around the house. But you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. It felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. He was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Miss Fields had come to collect him a little while ago. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without that hat on for once. Yeah, I want to see it! Give me a picture! Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go in the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she had hoped. This was a no fun allowed cleanup session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer, it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad there weren't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Agreed. That would be a lot. Be nasty, be sandy, be gross. But it was worth it because I'm sure it would be a lot of fun. And on that note, that ends this episode for today. If you liked what you see, hit that thumbs up. If you want to keep seeing some more of this stuff, subscribe and all that cool stuff. Yeah. Goodbye. There's a cat. Where's the cat? Doop, 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 doop.